Good afternoon. There should be others joining us a little later. Before we get to the official monthly SALS board meeting, we have to conduct a public hearing. We have a resolution to shift our meeting policy to allow for hybrid meetings, including the possibility in emergency situations for some members to attend virtually, as long as we have a quorum in person. Board members have received 2 documents as part of their meeting packet, and those documents have also been posted online. Right now, we're offering the opportunity for any members of the public who wish to comment. We'll wait a second or two. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, are there any comments board members would like to make? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and we will move on to the meeting where the resolution will come up for a board vote on the new hybrid virtual meeting policy. Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order at 1:02. Our President Jordan cannot be with us today. I'm filling in for him as Vice President. Okay, first thing, is there any public comment? We are recording this meeting for the public. This is still a virtual meeting. Okay, so moving on, we have the presentation of the SALS 2021 Independent Auditors Report. I think we have some representatives of the auditing firm with us today. Would you like to give us a brief summary and respond to questions, please?
Hi, everybody. I'm Serena Kirkpatrick, and this is Eric Hennessy, and we are with UHY LLP. Thank you again for inviting us back to audit the Southern Adirondack Library System. This, I believe, was my 17th audit of SALS, and every year it's a smooth process. So I wanted to say thank you very much to the staff at SALS, specifically Colleen, Sarah, and Bob, for your assistance during the audit process. New to our audit team this year, due to the retirement of Patrick Diggin, we have Eric Hennessy with us, and he is the partner in charge of the audit. So I'll let Eric introduce himself and guide us into the presentation.
Thanks, Serena. Hi, everybody. As Serena said, I'm Eric Hennessy. I'm a partner at UHY. I've been with the firm for a little over 20 years now, and I work with Serena this year on the audit of Southern Adirondack Library System. We performed an audit of the financial statements of the Southern Adirondack Library System. These comprise the statements of cash receipts and disbursements of the general fund and the trust and agency fund. Now, we issue an independent auditor's report, which is on page 1. It starts as a 2-page report. You'll notice that the report changed a little bit this year. There were some new auditing standards which changed the audit report and moved some paragraphs around and add a few paragraphs. The main changes are on page 2 of our report. And this basically just expanded the auditor's responsibility that we put in the report. You'll see the 1, 2, 3, the bullets on page 2. These are just some of the things that we do in our audit report, and it's just more transparency, and now they're actually communicated better in the report. Now, our audit report is an unmodified report, which is a clean opinion. It's the highest level of opinion you can get. So that's a great job on the part of Southern Adirondack Library System Management and the board. The basis of accounting, this is prepared on a cash basis of accounting, which is not generally accepted accounting principles. Now, I'm just going to spend a minute on our audit process. We perform a risk-based audit. So what that means is, during our planning phase of our audit, we assess the risks of material misstatement of the financial statements. And based on those risks, we tailor our audit procedures to specifically respond to the risks that we identify. Part of that is getting an understanding of the internal control, at the Southern Adirondack Library System. We don't audit the internal control, we don't test the internal control. We gain an understanding of that as part of our risk assessment and part of our planning procedures. And that just helps us, if we know that there's controls in place, it lowers our risks a little bit. But we do not test the controls and we do not issue an opinion on the controls. Does anybody have any questions on the audit report? For the process? Okay, well, then Serena is going to kind of go through your financial statements and the notes to the financial statements.
Yep, I'm going to springboard off of what Eric said about just having a better understanding of the internal controls of SALS. Every year when we go out, we do 2 days of field work right at the SALS headquarters there in Saratoga. That includes a conference with Bob, Sarah, and Colleen. And as you know, you had some turnover in Colleen's position this year with Diane departing and Colleen stepping in. I wanted to say that that was a smooth transition on our end. We really didn't have any hiccups and Colleen was able to hit the ground running. So kudos to SALS staff on that. I'm going to go over a high level overview of the statements of cash receipts and disbursements for the general fund. You'll find that on page 3 of the financial statement package. And what this financial statement shows is the receipts and disbursements of SALS for both 2021 and 2020. Overall, the total receipts for 2021 had increased $759,000 compared to 2020. There were 2 items of note that caused that increase, and that was state and federal aid. State aid had been held back in 2020 due to COVID-19. So the state held back some of the funding and SALS had then received it in the 2021 year instead of 2020. Also new for 2021 was federal aid. And there was some CARES Act money, about $40,000 that was received by SALS, which helped the organization respond to COVID-19 processes and procedures for outreach for member libraries and technical support. So overall, again, increase in cash receipts of about $759,000 compared to 2020. Moving on to disbursements, there was also an increase compared to 2020 of about $217,000. And most of that was in that general disbursements line that you'll see. And that covers a broad range of disbursements for SALS, including like central library aid. You guys had a new lock system put on the door, system automation, the cost of delivery of materials between member libraries. And then overall for the general fund, there was a cash increase of about $251,000. So that was a good year for SALS, a lot of cash flow. Overall cash balance at the end of the year was about $2.2 million. And that was made up of checking accounts, petty cash, and money market funds. You guys have a very healthy cash balance at the end of the year. You guys always try to maintain a conservative level of cash for operations in the future. Does anybody have any questions on the statement of cash receipts and disbursements? One of the largest disbursements is for disbursements to the trust and agency fund. So on page 4, you'll see the activity for the trust and agency fund for 2021 and 2020. And cash gets transferred from the general fund to trust and agency to pay employees and related payroll taxes and benefits. And then moving on to the note disclosures. As Eric already mentioned, the organization presents the financial statements on the cash basis of accounting, which is not generally accepted accounting principles in the United States. Note 1 is a summary of all the significant accounting policies for the organization. Note 2 describes the cash balances at December 31st, 2021 and 2020. Just an item of note that the 2020 cash balance at December 31st included some certificates of deposits that were matured. Note 3 is the related party transactions and concentrations. As you're aware, you get reimbursed by the Joint Automation Council for some of the expenses. So that note details what those reimbursements contained. Due to timing of the receipt of the reimbursements by SALS, the 2021 reimbursements were 11 months and 2020 was 13 months. So when you compare those numbers, it's not quite a true comparison, and that's just due to the timing of the receipt. And then we also note that there is the contingency of COVID-19. You know, we're transitioning, hopefully moving out of this pandemic phase, but obviously COVID-19 had an impact on your funding for 2020, and it's always possible that that state aid could impact your funding going forward into the future. Does anybody have any questions for Eric or myself?
Just a comment, Serena. You mentioned the reserve fund and that we were being cautious about it, and that's due to the fact that sometimes our state aid can be as late as 6 to 8 months after when we're expecting it in the budget. I think as far as I know, there's no standard, and the comptroller unfortunately won't give us a standard, but most public agencies try to keep at least a 2 or 3 month reserve. We're closer to a 6 month reserve, but that's on purpose. So.
Yeah, and I think that kind of helped in your favor in 2020 because you had that 20% hold back from state aid because of COVID. So you guys were prepared in advance of need, which is always good. So yeah, I mean, I think, Bob, I don't know if you have any comment on that, but you know, you guys try to keep that healthy cash balance, but still try to assist the member libraries in their times of need as well.
Yeah, each year we've attempted to bring our balance down somewhat, although as Russ said, we try to have at least 6 months because some years it's not unusual for the state to, usually we get most of our money in July, but it can go into the fall, and we've had, as happened during COVID, that it swung over to the following year. And so far we've been, fortunate that we've been able to keep our balances pretty high, even though we've increased some of the services that SALS provides without, charging our member libraries for them. And, but we do have, and will continue to have, pretty healthy balances going forward. I do have one comment regarding, Serena, you mentioned that it was 17 years that you've been doing SALS, and I know that in the old days, it was a problem if you stayed with a CPA firm too long. They would feel that you were kind of an insider at that point. But could you, I don't know the details of the quality control that UHY has, but I know they have a very extensive oversight of the audits so that it's really not dependent upon one individual or two individuals that happen to be on staff doing the audit for several years.
Sure. I can also kind of bring you a little bit of history too of even prior to UHY. So I started with the firm Flynn Walker Diggin in 2005. And at that point in time, the managing partner assigned to SALS was George Walker. And he was with the firm, obviously for many years. And then upon his retirement, that changed over to Patrick Diggin. So from our perspective, that was like a change in the audit team, especially on the managing partner level. So that was another fresh set of eyes that was looking at the organization. And then upon our merger with UHY, we also have, at UHY being a larger firm, what's called our engagement quality review process. So not only does the work that myself and Megan, my colleague that comes out and does the testing and audit process on site with SALS, it also gets reviewed by Eric. So again, he's a new person to review the audit and our work with UHY. And then it goes further on to our engagement quality review department in Albany, who it's like a separate independent review, and they go through and make sure that everything is up to our standards to make sure that we can issue a report. Also throughout those years, I did take steps back away from the audit due to maternity leaves, and we had other people throughout the years help assist on the audit. And it was, again, that change in auditor that's how we managed it on our end. Change in the auditing partner, the addition of the engagement quality review process with UHY, and then I took a couple of years off due to maternity leaves.
Thank you very much for that, because I know that the board, later in the year, will be making a decision as to, who we're going to hire for the audit for next year. And, this will give them a better perspective as to how, even though we have basically the same name for the auditing firm, that there are, checks and balances there as far as, being too closely related to the audit.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we have a rigorous quality control, process, as Serena mentioned. So it goes through multiple reviews, and I'm new to the engagement, so I had a fresh set of eyes on it this year also.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Eric, and thank you very much, Serena. It's always good to get a positive report and know that we're on the right track as far as our operating procedures are concerned.
Yep, and if anybody has any questions throughout the year, Colleen, Bob, and Sarah, they all have our contact information, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Nice to meet you all.
Okay, before we go along with the agenda, could I ask, there's several members that have their video turned off. Could you please turn your video on, please?
This is Sue
One.
Beck. This is Sue Beck. Sorry to bother you, but I can't get my video on. I don't know why, but I am here, I promise.
All right, very good.
Russ, I turned mine off because I've got an unstable connection.
Is that professional or personal, Chris? So, all right, anyhow, very good.
Russ,
Okay.
before we move on, can we also ask who Chris is? Assuming it's not Chris Connell, there's another Chris on. I don't know who that is.
That's Chris Mundell from JA.
Ah. Welcome, Chris. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, we
If I
have,
disappear again, you'll know why. I'm here.
right. Next one on our agenda is the introduction. And I noticed has she disappeared from our screen? Oh, no, there she is. Hi, Laura. Laura Goodman from Washington County. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. What's your local association in?
The Greenwich Free Library.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. My daughter just was elected to school board, Amy Foster.
Oh, wonderful.
I think all three of my grandchildren are heavy users of the Greenwich Library too. So welcome aboard.
Very
Glad
good.
to see you.
Thanks very much.
Okay, then now this is kind of strange, but in Jordan's absence, I would ask, I guess, Sue, maybe? If Sue is still with us.
Yes, sure. I'm right here. I'm not on video, but I'm here.
Okay, would you the officer nominating committee met and advanced a slate of candidates. Could you tell us who those are, Sue?
Yes, absolutely. The following slate for officers of SALS board: Russ Wise as president, Carol Kerr as vice president, and Janet Lindner as secretary.
And I believe there's been a change, right? Carol and Janet, as I understand it, have agreed to swap.
Okay.
Is that
Okay.
correct?
That's
Yes.
great.
Yes. And so Janet would be vice president and Carol would be secretary. Janet was secretary before, so actually this works out well as far as continuity is concerned. Are there any nominations from the floor? Okay, seeing none, could I ask that the secretary cast one ballot for the slate nominated by the officer nominating committee? Can I have a second? Yes, Chris? Well, Chris will move it. Margaret will second it. Thank you. Chris Connell moves it. Margaret seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor? You can just simply raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Welcome, everybody, and we hope that we will give you good service. The next,
Russ, just before you go, as officers, you're going to be needing to sign some paper, and Pamela will be getting the paperwork to you.
right, particularly with the bank accounts and whatnot. Yes, Colin.
Sorry, I'm actually the one that's going to be giving you the paperwork for the bank accounts. I've got that ready. Some of you, we may need to do something special at a bank if you're new to account, like Carol. At least the last time we did it, it's been several years. So I have to touch base with the banks and make sure their policy, but you may need to show them your driver's license, ID. If you have to do anything in person, I'll let you know after I touch base with the banks. So you'll be hearing from me in the next few days, and we'll do it all via email and scanning if possible. If someone can't do that, then we'll have to mail it, back to me and on to the next person. But we did that for one of the last corporate resolutions and it worked out. So you'll be hearing from me soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
All right, and before we go on, I just want to say, and hopefully we can relay these remarks to Jordan, that Jordan filled an unexpired term as president and then went on to a full term as president himself, and then had an extra year because of the pandemic. In addition to the length of his service, he's one of the easiest persons I've ever had to work with. He's intelligent, he's got a sense of humor. He, most importantly, something that I taken to heart, he's wonderful as far as delegating authority and tasks to people and giving them plenty of room to do them and then checking in occasionally. So that's my definition of an excellent leader. He's been terrific, and I just hope we put in the minutes that we commend him for his years of service and for the fine job he did with being board president. Okay, so that's done, that's done. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the committee assignments. And I'm going to ask Sarah, does this need a motion?
I don't believe so.
Okay, because I think you've all been contacted as far as your committee assignments. I saw a lot of the responses. You're all comfortable with where you are, so you have copies of the committee list, and then I would just ask you to keep in touch with your chair of your committee, and that the chairs just keep in touch with me if there's any help that you need, or in any situation that comes up that you need to discuss before the next board meeting. So thank you all for agreeing to serve. Any
Excuse me, Russ.
yes, go ahead, Margaret.
Russ, it looks like on the list that of the committees, I am not chair of audit and finance, but on the agenda today, for committee reports, it says Margaret Shapiro chair. So am I chair or not?
It should be Janet Lindner.
Oh, good. So, okay, thanks, Janet. All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, I'll change that as well too. Okay, moving along. We have two sets of board minutes. The first is the minutes from our April 19th meeting. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions that need to be made in the minutes? A copy was sent to you, if you've had a chance to look them over. Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the meeting, minutes of the meeting of April 19th. Thank you, Carol. Is there a second? Seconded by Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify the usual way. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Just remembering that if you happen to miss a meeting, then just make sure the next time when the minutes come up to abstain from that meeting because you weren't present. All right, so the motion carries. The next are the minutes of the annual meeting of May 16th. You've also had a chance to look over the copy and review that. Are there any additions, deletions, any changes that need to be made? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those. Janet, seconded by Margaret. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please signify.
Wait, I need to abstain because I was not present. There was a death in the family and I didn't make the that meeting.
Okay, all right, so Chris abstains. I was going to get to that. Thank you, Chris. No, that's fine. That's fine. Chris Connell abstains. Any opposed? And one abstention. Okay, that takes care of the minutes. Now we move on to Robert and the treasurer's report.
Yes, in your packets were both the April and the May treasurer's reports and the budget variance report, and also the warrants for both months for you to look over. I'll start off with the April treasurer's report. We started the beginning of April with a balance of $1,961.135 in the general fund. We had disbursements of, or receipts of $167,753, and we spent $201,898. This is the time of year when we're spending a lot more money than what's coming in. Hopefully in the month of July, we'll get our first checks from or transfers from the state of New York. So we ended the month of April with $1,926,990 in our operating account. For the month of May, obviously we start off with the same balance that we ended the month of April, and we had receipts of $90,412, and we had expenditures for the month of $287,833, leaving us with a balance of $1,729,568 at the end of May. If anyone has any questions or comments, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions for Bob? Okay, it sounds like in spite of the delay in receiving the state funds that we're still in pretty good shape as far as ongoing.
Our balances are good. And just as a side note, with the Fed raising interest rates, I was in contact with our contact at Saratoga National Bank because they haven't actually raised their CD rates up yet, but I anticipate that they probably will. And as soon as they go enough above our money market rate, I'll begin to move some of the cash balances into the CDs laddered like we did when there was actually interest to be earned. So I'll keep you appraised of what it is that I'm doing with those.
It's good to know that there are a few positive byproducts of the inflation.
Right.
Okay, any further questions for Bob? Comments? I just have one question. This was one thing I wasn't quite sure of as far as procedure. Do we need to vote on the treasurer's report, Sarah?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Okay. Could I have a motion? Why don't we take them separately? Could I have a motion to approve the April treasurer's report? Nancy, seconded by Elaine. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, the usual way? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. And now the treasurer's report for May. But I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report for May. Carol, seconded by Janet. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your hand, please. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, both motions carry. Thank you very much, Bob. And some warrants.
Yes, the warrants, Russ, were in the packet for people to take a look at, and they can see the details of what the money was spent on for those
Right.
2 months.
Okay,
And
thank you.
they just get filed. You don't need to vote on those.
All right. Grabbing our director before she takes off on vacation. Sarah, could we have your director's report?
I'm not exactly sure I'm going on vacation. I have 7 days of day-long meetings ahead of me. I'm going to need a vacation when I come back, but thank you. Welcome, Laura, to the board. We're going to do an orientation later in the summer, and I'll reach out with you with some details. And if any trustees would like a refresher, you're welcome to join the party. We'll see if it's going to be virtual or face-to-face, because I don't believe I've ever seen SALS, and we'd love to show off our building. The governor, as you know, extended the executive order until July 14th, 2020. And it's like, I'm looking at the link, I'm looking at the link, I'm looking at the link to see if it's been extended. And they extended it when I was driving home. So you didn't have breaking news. The executive order has given us permission to, well, not just us, but organizations that have to abide by open meeting laws, as well as other things contained in the executive order, to continue to meet as we are now virtually. Once the executive order is lifted, we'll be working on that later on. What we have in our packet today is a resolution to allow the SALS board, under certain circumstances, to allow a trustee to attend virtually. The difference between this upcoming change to the open meeting law and the executive order, which allows us to meet virtually, is that once the executive order is lifted, we're going to have face-to-face meetings with at least 7 trustees wherever we're holding the physical meeting. Other trustees can join the meeting through the wonders of technology, and they can vote, but their presence isn't considered part of the quorum. Does that, I don't know if I can even say, does that make sense? But that's the way the law is written. If the governor continues to extend the executive order, we can continue to meet virtually. And SALS, just to let you know, won't meet again face-to-face until September. And I don't know if the governor's going to extend the executive order through September. I'm hoping we're on the other side of the pandemic and the executive order isn't necessary. Also, later in this board meeting, you're going to be asked to approve a New York State construction application to upgrade the current Meraki wireless routers or renew licenses for all but 2 members of member libraries. The Meraki routers are used to connect people to the internet. It's the router. You have routers in your home These are more professional routers that can handle greater bandwidth and more people logging on. The way the state grant is written, it can only be used for the routers and the wiring and the licensing. And we can talk about that a little later in the meeting, or if you have questions about it, Chris is here to answer questions, but maybe it'd be more appropriate when we get to that part of the board meeting. There will be absolutely no cost to the member libraries. Back 10 years ago, as Bob had said earlier, we were looking at ways to spend down our fund balance. And it made sense at that time to bring in professional grade routers because the internet was becoming one of the most important resources libraries were providing in their communities. So Chris Mondell, who was with the JA staff, did research and found that something called Meraki was a really, really good router. And we really felt that libraries needed to provide access to the public. And this was the way the public could access the internet in the parking lot, in the library, and in some libraries with houses very close. Maybe there's some additional people using the internet, which is fine. The routers were really important when we suffered from COVID because it allowed people to still access libraries in the parking lots and in different areas so that the libraries were still providing service. The reason we're doing it as a state construction grant for two reasons. One, it would be a 50-50 match, 50% from the SALS coffers, 50% from the state through our construction grant allocations. The other thing that's really interesting about this is when we did it 10 years ago, this wasn't an option. We couldn't have applied for it as well. We're thinking that the grant will be about $80,000, give or take. So perhaps 40 from SALS and 40 from the state. There are some hoops we have to jump through because it is a state contract or not a contract, a state construction project. And we need to get assurances from the SALS board, which we'll be voting on later today, as well as each of the libraries that are participating. Some of the libraries will be getting licenses. Some of them will be getting routers. And we're very, very fortunate to be working with Chris Mondell. Chris, hi. Jump in as I get these things wrong. And Chris is also going to be working with, I believe, Adirondack cabling to do whatever necessary wiring is need to be done. What did I forget, Chris? Chris, you might be muted. Maybe Chris has nothing to say and I got it perfect, which I doubt. But anyway, Chris is here to answer questions if you have further questions.
Sarah, I just wanted to say that Clifton Park Half Moon last night at our monthly meeting, we passed the approval to apply for part of the grant. You had asked each of the libraries that they needed a board resolution, so.
To be part of the grant. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Last night, yep.
Chris, now you look muted. Now the little red thing is gone from your name. The
I
icon.
found the problem. You should be able to hear me now.
That fills me with confidence. Chris is an integral part of our joint automation staff. And he's just having computer issues to make me feel better for all the ones that I have every day. Chris, did I forget anything?
No, you did very well. The Meraki system provides public wireless access to all the SALS libraries. And it also provides statistics on the wireless usage for the annual reports. And it provides a centralized cloud-based management where I can mitigate any problems or any issues that arise. It prevents one person from taking over the network. It's an enterprise level system that you could use in a hotel, hospital, cruise ship, or public library.
Thank you. So Chris and I and some others will be writing the grant, which we'll have to share with people in September when the SALS board reviews the construction grants. Carol, Russ, Jordan, Bob, Pamela, Colleen, and I have been working behind the scenes with the Arnoff delivery contract. We've had the service for 3 years and it's time to renew. So after some discussions, explanations, revisions, the contract is now at the SALS attorney. We're waiting for him to review it and get back. And later on, I'm going to ask the board to approve the contract in spirit, as long as the attorney doesn't find any deal breaker.
I think, for the purposes of the motion, I would probably ask that we approve it pending our attorney's review.
Okay, that's a better way of stating it. Thanks, Russ. And
Chris,
just to
Sarah,
let you, yes?
do I need to send the contract to all the board members?
I'm sorry?
Do I need to send the contract to the trustees? I don't know that everybody has seen it.
I think it'll, after the, I don't, we can. We just don't know what the final form is. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and send it, Pamela? That would be great. And just to let you know, sticker shock, there is an increase in the cost of both the gas and the services because we pay a percentage of gas. Bob reviewed it, and Bob, you can jump in at any time. And he said that we do have the funds to cover the contract. And I just want to remind the board that every year we do our strategic plan, and delivery is one of the top 2 services we provide to the members and for the members. So, and Arnoff has been stellar. They have been, it's a pleasure working with them, working with a professional moving company really moves our materials safely from site to site. I shared a template with you and the member libraries regarding legally enforceable collection development policies. Cole will be, her name is Stephanie Cole Adams, will be presenting a webinar in July. And I recommend that if you have the time to come and listen, it is considered continuing education. I'm currently working with other New York State library leaders on the censorship and book ban issues. And unfortunately, I'm afraid to say that there have been some incidences even here in the SALS service area. The latest target of a library is Hide the Pride. That's a, people send emails saying that you need to hide the pride because, as you know, June is Pride Month. What I recommend to everyone, and Deborah Caldwell Stone was our speaker at our annual dinner, is that the message to people when they start questioning why we have materials that we do or programs that we do, that while we believe that while a specific book or program may not be the right fit for a child, it does.
Sarah, you froze.
We lost you, Sarah.
Sorry.
Oh, I think she's frozen.
I'm back.
Back to recording.
I'm just about done. I'm sorry, that was the longest director's report ever. What I was just saying is that we're seeing some censorship issues here and we're getting messages out and we're working on it statewide. The end of ALA annual, I'll be a member of the ALA executive board, which is, I'm really nervous about that. And I will need to ask you, the SALS board, permission to attend some meetings. And I have them listed in my written director's report. And just to let you know that I want to give big shout outs to the SALS and JA staff for all of their work assisting our member libraries. It is truly a pleasure working with all of them. And you heard the auditor say that Colleen, it was a very smooth transition for them. And our annual reports are accepted and we're just cooking with gas, and it's just a pleasure working with such a dedicated group of people. And now Pamela gets to share some information about the SALS delivery. Do you have any questions of me? Okay, take it away.
All right. Properly. Is everybody able to see the SALS delivery?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you. I'll mute myself.
How do I? There we go. So here we go. SALS and MVLS share an online catalog and facilitate the interlibrary loan delivery amongst 61 libraries in our two systems. So that's Southern Adirondack and the Mohawk Valley Library System. The interlibrary loan delivery also links SALS and MVLS with the CDLC. And the CDLC acts as a hub for these two systems. The UHLS system, also the Upper Hudson Library System and beyond. So that's 98 public libraries in 10 counties that RNOF and the deliveries are servicing. But wait, there's more. The CDLC also links the Empire Library delivery, which incorporates 15 local colleges and the New York State Library in Albany, and the school library system delivery, which adds another 379 public school libraries. So if you're keeping track, that's 492 libraries. So here are a few stats from the SALS 2021 annual report in regards to interlibrary loan, because I've learned since I started in January that librarians love stats. On average, there are 149 deliveries per week. In 2021, we recorded 217,626 items borrowed and 227,968 items loaned. That brings the total activity count to 445,594, which is up 26.5% from 2020. Of course, we all know what happened in 2020, but it demonstrates that delivery is on its way back to a full recovery. So how is all of this material getting around? SALS contracts and has for the last 3 years with RNOF Moving and Storage. And RNOF provides us with 3 friendly drivers, 3 RNOF vans, and 3 routes, which serves every one of our member libraries plus 2 correctional facilities. Route 1 is Bobby Joe. He delivers to 9 Southern Saratoga County libraries Monday through Friday. Route 2 is John. He services 10 Northern Adirondack libraries on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And Route 3 is Jeremy, and he delivers to 18 Washington and Warren County libraries Monday through Friday. He also does the 2 correctional facilities. As I stated earlier, that's 149 stops a week, but they don't just drive vans all over New York. They also sort all of the materials that are in transit to the libraries. Our drivers begin their day as early as 4 a.m. in the morning so that they can finish delivering and sorting during the SALS business hours. They begin their deliveries before most libraries are even open. It's also worth mentioning that our drivers represent SALS, and they've done an excellent job of building relationships with each of the libraries on their route. Did you know that delivery services items other than just books? There's GED schoolwork. We are currently assisting a Mechanicville student to complete her GED, and her coursework is shared with her BOCES teachers through the SALS delivery. Delivery distributes SUNY Adirondack catalogs to library schools. We distribute program flyers for libraries and local museums. The Library of Things also moves through the delivery, and that might include items that the libraries borrow, such as Chromebooks, hotspots, projectors, and educational kits for their patrons. The JA distributes their hardware to our member libraries through delivery. Member libraries use delivery to submit payments to SALS. The summer reading program materials are distributed through delivery, and the list goes on and on. So how are we doing? Well, in February, we sent out the annual SALS System Use and Satisfaction Survey for 2021, and there were 3 specific questions on the survey for delivery. In general, the first question was, in general, how satisfied are you with delivery services your library receives from SALS? And of the 108 that opted to answer the question, 79.63% reported that they're very satisfied. 13.89% reported somewhat satisfied, and 6.48% reported that they don't use delivery. The second question on the survey was, how valuable and relevant are the delivery services to your library's efforts to serve your patrons? Of the 110 that opted to answer this question, 88.18% reported that delivery service is very valuable. 5.45% reported somewhat valuable, and 6.36% reported that they don't use the delivery service. And the final question, is there anything we can do to improve the delivery service? But of course, there's always room for improvement. On the screen are a few of the feedback responses that we got from the survey. So in response to prompt notification if there will be delivery or be delays, I am the liaison between RNOF and our libraries, and I check in with the drivers on a daily basis and act as the liaison between them and their libraries, answering questions and making sure that everyone has what they need. The drivers and I also use text when they're on the road for any emergency or non-emergency communications. The other feedback is regards to the audio video bags. I communicate with the libraries and the drivers when bags are needed to circulate. And just recently, Colleen ordered a new lot of bags that should be arriving shortly. The drivers also try to carry extra bags and bins for the libraries in a pinch. The libraries let their drivers know that they need materials, the libraries can offer some. Drivers. And finally, what are we doing right? The libraries seem to be mostly satisfied with the delivery since we contracted with RNOF, and by the way, they love Bobby Joe. We hear that a lot, but they're also happy with the schedule, communications, and the speed in which the materials arrive. One library put it very well on the survey. We have so many people who rely on us as a resource for materials from other libraries. The strong delivery service makes that a reality. So that concludes my delivery presentation. Does anybody have questions about delivery? I don't know how to get back to everybody.
Thank you, Pamela.
You're welcome.
Anything further, Sarah, on your report?
Here. We don't want to do that. I'm trying to get back to seeing all of your friendly faces.
As far as anything more from me, Russ, I think that concludes it. Does anybody have any questions for anyone? Chris, me, Pamela, Colleen, Jill, the whole staff?
Pamela's report pretty much jives with the informal conversation when we took the break. as far as the importance of the service and how the member libraries feel about it. All right, let's move along to committee reports. Audit and Finance, Janet. Any report?
Haven't done anything yet on that committee, but
Okay, so no report. Building, Chris Connell.
Nothing other than what Sarah has already talked about the router stuff for the
Okay.
construction grant.
Jordan is not here, but I don't think, other than our hybrid meetings policy, I don't see any changes to the bylaws. Okay, so nothing there. Margaret, anything from Central Library Aid?
No, no report.
Okay. The 4 county aid coordinators, any news or any reports? All right. Library services, Carol.
nothing to report now.
Okay. Personnel, Janet.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Did we already approve the new trustees last time? Yeah, we approved that at the annual meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay, so nothing from the trustee nominating. All right, very good. All right, let's move on to old business. And you've heard the background, and we've had some discussion informally, and you've seen some of the background materials for the Arnoff contract renewal. So as Sarah mentioned, this needs to be looked at by our attorney before we can do this finally. But I would entertain a motion for approving the Arnoff contract renewal pending review by the SALS attorney. Would somebody like to make that motion? Okay, Nancy, is there a second? Seconded by Chris. Is there any discussion at this point? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to an immediate vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, the next item, we'll move on to no more unfinished business. New business. Sarah has spoken with Chris Connell with my hearty approval to replace me as the JA Council representative from the SALS board. As you know, Chris has been on the board for several years. She is chair of our building committee and was, I understand, I didn't realize this, but in an earlier incarnation was the JA representative before. So she's somewhat familiar with how it operates. And of course, same as with me, she's also local, which means that she can get to both Saratoga Springs and to I don't know what they actually call it, whether it's Duanesburg or Guilderland, but the far side of Schenectady. So if I could have a motion, please, to appoint Christine Connell as our representative to the JA Council. Okay, Susan, second by Janet. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. And thank you, Chris, for agreeing to serve. Do you have any comments at this point, or will you wait till you report next meeting?
Yes, I'll wait. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, next, you received in your packets or as an email attachment, the revised SALS COVID-19 health and safety protocols. Sarah or Pamela, would you like to speak quickly to what the changes were?
I'm touching Pamela's mouse. I have to get used to the feeling. It's just really for informational purposes. We've updated what we had done during the pandemic with some of the current protocols that we're following. We cleared some things up, so it's just some language and updating, and it's just for your information.
Okay, and I know many of the libraries have been going, as the situation changes, many of the libraries have been going through the same thing. And I notice, as, again, we did in our local library, I noticed that you're referencing the community levels and county levels and also with the guidance from the CDC, all of which can change from time to time. You're referencing that in several places. Are there any questions or comments by the board? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the revised.
It's just for information. You gave me the authority at the beginning to make the changes as necessary. But
Very good.
because
Okay, thank you, Sarah. All right, and then now we come to the resolution which we did the public hearing on, authorizing video conference and attendance and placement of recording equipment, basically, which would create a hybrid situation. And if there was somebody had an illness or an emergency that came up and was not able to attend, as long as we had a quorum present, either virtually, if we're still doing virtually, or in person.
well, Russ, almost, if the executive order is in place, we could do it 100% virtually.
Right.
But once that's lifted, we have to have a face-to-face with a minimum of 7 trustees here in the SALS building. And
Right.
others can join remotely, virtually, without having to place their addresses in the public announcement.
Okay. Would somebody like to offer this as a motion, please, to approve this resolution? Margaret, is there a second? Seconded by Elaine. Okay, any further discussion? Questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by the usual method. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. All right, the next item under new business is approval to apply for the New York State construction in terms of replacing wireless routers, licenses, et cetera, as was earlier explained by Sarah during her report. Is there any discussion on this item? Okay, seeing, yes, Chris.
I probably have asked this question before and in one ear and out the other. What is the anticipated total amount of construction grant money that SALS will be seeing? And what is the approximate amount of money for the routers?
The grant will cost up to $80,000. We're still getting finalized numbers for the wiring. So it would be $40,000 of the state aid going towards this project. And it's around 368,000 system-wide. But I'll, as soon as we're off the phone, because they changed the population numbers, it used to be 396,000. But since they changed the census, I'll get you that exact number. It's a little bit less. That's a good question.
But basically, Chris, the split for our system, our system is 50-50. 50 state and 50 SALS. But it's 40-40, but 50% is what I mean.
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or discussions? All those in favor of the question? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries.
Russ, do
All
you
right,
want to name who is, we didn't name who moved and who seconded.
I think, Chris, did you second that one? Who just seconded that motion? Oh, Elaine did, excuse me, Elaine seconded.
Okay. And do you know who made the motion?
I believe it was Margaret, did you make the motion? Oh.
Many
No,
hands went up, so I wasn't sure. I'm sorry.
I've forgotten who I said.
I
Oh,
made the motion.
Nancy.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item, as Sarah mentioned, she has been appointed to the, or voted into the National Council for ALA. Congratulations, Sarah. And she will therefore need several times during the year to attend meetings in person. And so this would be approval as far as travel monies for her to attend.
Not necessarily travel monies, but permission to attend.
Ah, okay, very good. That's even better.
Well, it's a 50-50, everything is 50-50 today.
50-50 also, yeah, okay. All right. Any questions or comments? Yes, Elaine.
Sorry, I was jumping the gun. I was just gonna, so move.
Oh, I get you. All right. Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries.
Russ, we need to second Elaine's motion to, we didn't second her motion.
Seconded by Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, let's take the next, because these are
Because- oh,
normal
here we go.
and the officers change. We also designate where the depositories are going to be, where we're doing our business. These are fairly standard, but they still need board approval. I'll just go through them one by one. Number one is name the Saratoga National Bank and Trust Company as depository of funds to be withdrawn with the signature of one of the following: President, Vice President, Treasurer, Secretary. Can I have a motion to that effect? Carol, seconded by Laura.
Russ, can I ask you a question? This is my first time needing to get a corporate resolution to pass on to the bank, and maybe Bob knows this. Besides the positions, isn't the bank looking for us to approve the people who are in those positions now? Because I have to supply this resolution to the banks with the signature cards. So they already know that these are our 4 officers. Don't we need the people's names in the resolution?
I don't know about the resolution, but you definitely need it on the signature cards and the resolution that goes to the bank. So I would assume that it should be in our corporate resolution also.
So does that mean, so the corporate resolution on paper says Southern Adirondack on the date of the meeting held on this date, be it resolved that the following are hereby authorized, and I list out the people's names, and then the names are there with signatures. I'm just wondering if the resolution that they that I have to send along, because they want the minutes, I have to send the minutes along. Are they gonna want the people's names here? And this hasn't happened in a few years. So Pamela found what had happened last and put it here. So maybe we're okay the way it is. I just want to make sure we get it done correctly, because last time we had an issue where we had to redo the resolution.
This is an, like an administrative thing. We'll just put in the names in the minutes because we already appointed the officers earlier.
Perfect.
So we'll
Okay.
do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so that would be the Saratoga National Bank and Trust Company. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Wait. Did he say the Adirondack Trust?
Saratoga National.
Saratoga
Are
National.
are you doing number 1, Russ, or number 2? Are you doing F1 or F2, Russ?
F1.
We did that one.
We did one. We're up to F2.
This is F1. We're voting on them separately.
We
Right,
voted on F1. Ms. Kerr motioned and Ms. Goodman seconded.
Now we're on to number 2, the Adirondack Trust.
Did we vote on it though?
No.
We didn't vote on it yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I have to stop and think myself, am I losing? But no, I pretty much remember we didn't vote on it. So all in favor of F1, Saratoga National Bank and Trust Company, signify the usual way. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. F2, name the Adirondack Trust Company as depository of funds to be withdrawn with the signature of one of the following: President, Vice President, Treasurer, or Secretary. Also, that any one of the following be authorized to borrow funds: President, Vice President, Treasurer, or Secretary. Of course, names to be inserted of the current officers. Is there a motion to approve that? Margaret, seconded by Carol. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. F3, designate Adirondack Trust as depository for health equity, wage works, FSA withholdings, which are to be withdrawn by the President, Vice President, Treasurer, or Secretary, or an authorized FSA representative. Is there a motion? Chris, is there a second?
Susan.
Margaret? Okay, any discussion, any questions about this one? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. And then finally, F4, authorize borrowing via credit cards by the President, Vice President, Treasurer, or Secretary. Okay, could I have a motion? Chris, and a second. Janet. Okay. Any discussion, any questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Okay, is there any other new business? Okay, seeing none, is there a Director's Council report? Okay, and any further announcements? Okay, our next scheduled meeting is Monday, September 20th at 7 p.m.
No.
No,
No.
oops,
It
that's
says-
my error. It will be at 1.
Oh, you know what that is? That's of the annual meeting at 1 p.m. Very good.
And we'll know,
20th at 1 p.m.
and we'll know the format, whether it's going to be face-to-face or Zoom
I know,
closer to the meeting.
I know that over the summer, Pamela, Colleen, Erica, Sarah, you'll be giving us, you'll be keeping us up to date with whatever's happening over the summer.
Hold on.
Is it Monday or Tuesday?
It's Tuesday, the 20th.
Okay.
And I just want to say, with your permission, it's in the motion to apply for the state grant. I need to change the wording. It should read upgrade the routers, not replace. Just to let you know, I'm going to change it to say upgrade the routers instead of replace
Any
the routers.
objection to the change in language
Pardon?
from the people who voted for the resolution? All right, seeing none, that would be fine, Sarah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Everybody have a wonderful summer.
Oh, one last thing, Russ. In July or August, the Audit and Finance Committee will need to meet, as well as the Personnel Committee needs to meet. We're going to be working on a budget, Colleen, Bob, and I. And once we have a draft, we'll share it with the Finance Committee. Then we'll meet to discuss it, and then also meet with the Personnel Committee. And everybody is welcome to join these committee meetings.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Sarah, Pamela, Colleen. Stay well, enjoy your summer, keep in touch, write if you get work, and hang by your thumbs, as Bob and Ray used to say.
Bye. Thank you all.
Bye.